Hare Krishna devotees, Dandavat Pranam. Welcome to Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. We are waiting for the speaker to join. Kindly stay with us for a minute. Hare Krishna devotees, Dandavat Pranam. The speaker will be joining in a couple of minutes' time. Kindly stay with us. Hare Krishna devotees, Dandavat Pranam. Welcome to Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Today we are very glad and pleased to have association of His Grace Premasindhu Gauranga Prabhu, who will be sharing the nectar from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto number 5, chapter number 26, sloka number 30 and 31. Prabhuji, over to you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. Hare Krishna. So I welcome all the devotees for today's Srimad Bhagavatam class. And I also wish you a very happy Diwali, which is coming ahead. And I pray to lotus feet of Sri Sri Radha Shyam Sundar that this Diwali brings you the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, Radha Shyam Sundar, Krishna Balram, Gaur Nitai, and you progress a lot in your devotional service. So today we are studying on the auspicious occasion of Diwali days. We are studying the description of hellish planets, and let us see the fifth canto. Just 1 minute. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं सागरजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिय। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। So we are studying the 26th chapter of the fifth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah. So this particular section, it is describing the various types of hellish planets and what kind of sins are performed by different living entities, and as a result of those sins, what kind of punishments one has to suffer. So this is explained in this particular section. So first we will read the verses and then we will uh, describe or we will discuss about the subject matter. So verses 20, 26.30 and 31. So beginning with the first verse here. अथ च यस् इह व आत्मसंभव संभवानेन स्वयं अधमो जन्म तपो विद्याचार वर्णाश्रमवतो वरीयसो न बहुमन्यते स मृतक एव मृत्वा शराकर्दमे निर्ये निपातितो दुरंता यातना यश्नुते. So the verse says that a low-born and abominable person who in this life becomes falsely proud, thinking I am great, and who thus fails to show proper respect to one more elevated than he by birth, austerity, education, behavior, caste, or spiritual order is like a dead man even in this lifetime. And after death, he is thrown headfirst into the hell known as Kshara, Ksharakardama. There he must suffer great tribulation at the hands of the agents of Yamaraj. Purport Srila Prabhupada says one should not become falsely proud. One must be respectful toward a person more elevated than he by birth, education, behavior, caste, or spiritual order. If one does not show respect to such highly elevated persons but indulges in false pride, he receives punishment in Ksharakardama. So this is explained here that a person who is falsely proud and he fails to show proper respect to someone who is more elevated than him, So that elevation or that elevated status can be material or spiritual both. Like here we see Prabhupada writes by birth, by caste. So this is a material standard. And even other standards like austerity, education, or spiritual order. So the point is that we have to be respectful to everybody, and that is the crux of the verse. Tronadapi sunichena tarorapi sahishnuna amanina manadenu. So amanina manadenu means we do not accept or we are not hankering for any uh, respect, glorification, prestige, but we give respect to everybody. Then in that state of mind, one will be able to always chant the holy name of the Lord. So if someone does not respect other, then he is thrown into hell and he has to suffer in the hellish planets. Then next verse, 31st. ये तो इह वै पुरुषाः पुरुषमेधे न यजन्ते याश्च स्त्रियो नृपशून् खादन्ति तांश्च पशव इव निहता यमसदने या यातयन्तो रक्षोगणाः सौनिका इव स्वधिनीता वदायासृक् पिबन्ति नृत्यन्ति च गायन्ति च ऋषयमाणा यथेह. So another very fearful description of hell. The verse says, there are men and women in this world who sacrifice human beings to Bhairava or Bhadragali and then eat their victims' flesh. Those who perform such sacrifices are taken after death to the abode of Yamaraj, where their victims, having taken the forms of Rakshasas, cut them to pieces with sharpened swords. Just as in this world, the man eaters drank their victims' blood, dancing and singing in jubilation. Their victims now enjoy drinking blood of the sacrificers and celebrating in the same way. So, this is explained. So, basically, we see in this particular section that different types of hell are explained and the punishments which are given in different types of hell for different types of karmas. They are explained here. So, what is the real purpose of karma? If somebody asks us that what is the purpose of karma, uh, karma is very intricate and it is also the arrangement of the Supreme Lord. But what is the real purpose? So we must understand that karma operates on two levels. One is immediate and ultimate, two levels. Immediate means karma makes it is existing to make the jiva responsible for his or her actions. So every action has a consequence, and just as every law in the government, it carries enforcement. So these actions or these reactions to the karmas, they create moral accountability and they preserve balance in the cosmos. Just as a society needs laws to avoid chaos, the universe also needs a framework to maintain harmony. So this karma, they act as this is the regulatory function of karmas, we can say, or the karma phala. So yet beyond the immediate is also karma's ultimate purpose to reform the jiva. The immediate purpose is to maintain functionality, order in the cosmos, and the ultimate purpose is to reform the jiva, to gradually awaken higher understanding, and ultimately help the jiva to transcend the very network of karmic reactions, to go beyond karmic reactions, go beyond the uh, domain of time into eternality. That is karma's ultimate purpose. So the living entity learns that every selfish or forbidden act, an act which is not sanctioned by the Vedas, it will lead to suffering. And that freedom, it will come only when one acts in harmony with the divine will. So, karma is not simply a system of punishment or a system of reward, but it is a divine education through which the soul evolves towards liberation. So, this is how we understand karma. We are studying all these hellish planets. Uh, these are suffering is because of karma only. So, let us understand the philosophy behind it. That why all this suffering? What is the use of this karma or suffering? Or another thing to be understood is the Supreme Lord. Uh, his attention is attracted to a person who is suffering like this. So, so many things are there to be understood here. So, people often say that uh, about justice and timing of this justice or karma, the timing when they will get suffering, when they will get justice. So, these hellish planets going to Yamaraj, this is all about justice. So, sometimes people say in this world, when they are not getting justice, let's say for a legal case, they say that justice delayed is justice denied. So, especially in India, the law system, the cases, legal cases can go on for years and years, decades. So, people say justice delayed is justice denied. It's a very powerful saying. But it invites a question: what counts as delayed justice? 5 minutes, 5 years, 5 centuries, 5 yugas. So, in the material world, some delay is always inevitable. Even in the courts of this world, we see that a crime must be investigated, then the criminal has to be caught, and the different proofs have to be produced in front of the authorities. And then it takes so much time for the process because so many circumstances are involved, so many agencies are involved. In the same way, the karmic justice cannot be always instantaneous. The unfolding of reactions, it requires perfect coordinations among countless factors: people, time, place, consciousness. So the Lord's administration is flawless, but it works through a vast web of agencies, cause and effect. Therefore, what appears to us as delay is often divine precision. Like in this world, we say that uh, bad people, they are enjoying and they are not, they are going on doing bad activities, but it seems they are not getting any karma phala for that. So karma always acts, but it acts in its own time under the supervision of the Supreme. Krishna says in Bhagavata, Upadrushta Anumanta, Bharta Bhokta Maheshwara. So Krishna as the Paramatma is Upadrushta Anumanta. He is overseeing the karma of every living entity, and Anumanta means he is giving the permission. If a living entity can enjoy punya, or the time has come for him to suffer the reaction of a certain papa. So sometimes justice, it seems invisible. People ask that why so many crimes they are going unpunished, why so much suffering appears. You know, so if karma is true, shouldn't the justice be visible? Shouldn't the karma be instant karma? So the answer lies that the soul, its continuity is not just in one life, but its continuity is beyond one life. So the soul's journey is not just one life. We are witnessing a person in his one life. And so we might think that he is doing something, but he's not getting the result, either good or bad. But the soul's continuity goes beyond the time of, one lifetime. The jiva, he may forget what he has done in the previous lives, but karma does not forget. So the purpose is not to torment the jiva for his bad deeds, but to educate the jiva with the consequence. Just like in this world, the citizens, they do not remember every clause of the law. We have not read the constitution completely, or the uh, Indian Penal Code laws. But still, we know that certain actions are punishable. You don't have to read the whole Indian Penal Code to understand that what actions are punishable. Similarly, a soul does not have to recall what he has done in the past life to experience his reaction, or he does not have to recall each of his past activity. So the Dharma Shastras, they function like a spiritual penal code, because many people say that even if you suffer in hell, then what is the use? Because now in this life you don't remember that you have suffered in hell. So where is the point of reformation if you are not remembering that for certain activity you have suffered in the hell? So that is why the Vedas, they give us Dharma Shastras. Dharma Shastras, they are like penal codes. They explain that which activity will bring what kind of outcome. So with proper education, we can or recognize that suffering is not meaningless. It is linked to our own past choices. Just like a thief, he may steal again, even after imprisonment. Similarly, a person, he may continue to do a same kind of a sin despite having knowledge. So that is why beyond knowledge or beyond education, there must also arise inner inspiration, to the desire to improve and purify one's life. So punishment, or the knowledge of the punishment, that is not sufficient in itself. The desire to improve and purify one's life, that is more important. So how do we see this suffering and karma from the eyes of the scriptures. So, uh, the karma, the suffering in hell, it is invisible to our eyes. We are seeing it through the eyes of Bhagavatam in this case, or like Dharma Shastras, as they also speak about the codes, how we should live. So, without faith in Shastra, one may misjudge the events of life as unfair or cruel. But when we view through the lens of revelation, then we begin to understand the deeper, uh, the deeper order in this world. That everything is arranged for our growth. So the educated mind, who is disciplined by scriptural understanding, he can see that the punishment is not actually cruelty, but it is reformation, rectification. Another question which comes is, if there is bad karma and suffering, can it be undone? You know, can whether karma can undo past actions? So the answer is no. An act once performed, it sets a chain of reactions into motion that cannot be reversed. If a man has taken another man's life, no reaction will revive the dead man, isn't it? You cannot bring the dead man back to life if somebody is murdered. So karma cannot erase history, but it balances uh, balances the equation, you know, by giving appropriate experiences. So ultimately, the only way to transcend karma is uh, not through avoidance of sinful activities, but through transformation. So when the soul rises to the level of bhakti, the divine service beyond dualities of sin and piety, only then one can transcend this thing, suffering which comes from bad karma. So many devotees, they feel anguished when they see sacred places are desecrated, cows are slaughtered, or the devotees are persecuted. You know, it has happened so much in India, especially during the Mughal rule. We have seen that temples desecrated, cows slaughtered, uh, women raped, and devotees slaughtered. So the question comes: where is justice? Where is karma's justice? So sometimes we feel very anguished. Like recently in Bangladesh, devotees were persecuted. So a lot of anguish is there. Where is the justice? Where is karma? So we are seeing only one frame of the vast cosmic film. So as we discussed earlier, karma is stretching across lifetimes, and its operations are not limited to a visible portion of a single lifetime. Just because we may not witness the reaction does not mean that it does not occur. So frustration arises from the ignorance of the divine law. Peace arises from aligning with divine law. So our brains are very limited to calculate all the hidden variables of the law of karma. When which karma will act, at what time it's going to act. That is very difficult to say. It is very complex. Therefore, we should rely on revelation rather than speculation. So, uh, Another interesting understanding which we get from 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, in the 11th canto, 21st chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a verse 11:21.17. It says that the same activities that would degrade an elevated person do not cause fall down for those who are already fallen. Indeed, one who is lying on the ground cannot possibly fall further. The material association that is dictated by one's own nature is considered a good quality. So, this I just read the translation of the verse. So, the verse basically it means that if somebody is very fallen, the verse gives the example that somebody is fall. So, the verse seems to suggest that for someone who is already fallen, repetition of the same act does not lead to additional degradation. However, this verse is not a license for the ignorant to perform sins freely. This verse is addressing those who are on the path of spiritual life, those who understand the process of fall down, the process of elevation. So, if a person is already immersed in activities of ignorance, he is performing some forbidden activities. He may not incur further fall in the sense of descending to a lower category of existence because he is already there. But definitely, by continuing such acts, his conditioning is deepening. His samskaras are becoming stronger, and he is becoming more and more entangled in tamoguna, the inertia of the mode of darkness. So, a person who is sleeping on the ground, he cannot fall lower. But if he keeps sleeping, he will find it increasingly hard to rise. So, in the commentary to that verse, Sridhar Swami writes that let's say somebody is spiritually elevated, for example, a devotee or a brahmana. So, if a devotee or a brahmana is, let's say, drinking liquor and it causes his fall down, while another person is already degraded. So, for another person who is already degraded, is a drunkard, if he drinks more, it will not cause further fall because there is nowhere lower to go. Yet, even for the fallen person, the act will strengthen his bondage, his conditioning. So it will become more and more difficult for him to come out of that state of mode of ignorance. So sin is relative to one's level of consciousness. Although sin is relative to one's level of consciousness, but when you indulge in sin, it will always increase the conditioning, and conditioning will grip you more and more. Sometimes you see that even some great devatas, they are doing some mistakes, or some great rishis, they occasionally they might do some mistake. But it's not that they are always doing those mistakes. They are drunkards or rapists or fallen people. No. So that sin is relative to their level of consciousness. So we see that when Indra performs some mistake, he does not have to go to hell. So, uh, but it will tighten the conditioning, even if somebody is a demigod or a rishi, and it will become more and more difficult for that person to come out of that conditioning, and ultimately it will lead to going down only in the cosmic uh, system. So this is also another thing which is to be understood regarding sin. So the understanding is that uh, when somebody is in ignorance, it may reduce the degree of sin, but it never nullifies the binding power of the sin. And repetition of wrong action is always increasing the mode of ignorance. So the more this verse is also telling us that we should not remain asleep on the ground, but we should try to rise. So what is the broader vision of karma? So when we see through the eyes of scriptures, karma emerges as Lord's system of moral, spiritual codes or education, and it ensures accountability, preserves universal balance, and above all, it guides the soul towards transcending the law of karma. So it may not be always visible, but it is never absent. So sin and piety are also relative to one's level of realization, and only bhakti or loving service to the Lord, it releases one from the wheel of karma altogether. We have seen in Bhagavatam that that example of elephant taking bath is also there. Parikshit Maharaj is asking. So this question that atonement for the sins is like elephant bath. The elephant he will take bath, then he'll come out. Again, he will throw dust on his body. So ultimately, only bhakti or loving service to Krishna, it releases one from the wheel of karma altogether. So we have different types of karmas, prarabdha, aprarabdha. Prarabdha it is not manifested yet. Aprarabdha is not manifested, and prarabdha is going to manifest in this lifetime. Aprarabdha is going to manifest in future lifetimes. Then there is bija. Bija means the sinful proclivity is there in the form of a seed, which makes us to do more and more sins. So this bija or seed of sin, it can remain for many lifetimes and then it may fructify. For example, if you store the seeds in a jar, you can store them for a long time. And then when you sow them in the land, give them water, then they'll something will come out from that seed. But if you take that seed and you fry those seeds in a frying pan and then you sow it, then nothing will come out from there. So bhakti or loving devotional service is like frying the seeds, bija, bija of sin. So only bhakti is the process which can bring you out of this cycle of sin. Otherwise, it is not possible. So when a person is acting for Krishna, then his reactions are no more accumulating. They are offered back in the fire of devotional service. So the purpose of karma is uh, to give us this realization, which leads ultimately to liberation of the jiva from this material world. So that being said, another question is that does Krishna becomes attracted, not attracted, does he feel compassion when somebody is suffering in this world? Somebody is suffering very badly because of his own sinful actions. He's suffering very badly in this world. And let's say people are suffering in the hell. You're already reading the description of hellish planets. So, does Krishna become compassionate by seeing the suffering of living entities? And because of that compassion, it attracts the mercy of the Lord, and then he gives bhakti. So the understanding here is that Krishna does not show compassion because of the suffering of living entities. So Krishna will show compassion to person who is performing bhakti. Only bhakti attracts compassion of the Supreme Lord. So Jiva Goswami explains this in Bhakti Sandarbha that everybody in this world is suffering because of their karma. They are suffering in different ways. So if everybody is suffering in this world because of their past karma, is everybody in this world attracting the mercy of the Lord? No, it is not like that. So because of suffering, it seems that mercy of the Lord is being not being attracted. This gives rise to two options. Option number one, that Krishna cannot show mercy to everybody who is suffering, or Krishna is not capable of giving his mercy to everybody because everybody is suffering. That is option number one. Option number two, Krishna does not show mercy because of suffering. So option number one cannot be correct because there is nothing which Krishna cannot do. Krishna can give his mercy to everybody if he wishes, which means that option number two is correct. That Krishna does not give, or his mercy is not dependent on seeing the suffering of living entities in this world. So Krishna is giving mercy to the living entities who become interested in coming back to him. And that is why it is said that only by devotional service one can come out of this cycle of sinful life. Because Krishna will give you mercy, he will show compassion, or you will get bhakti only when you perform bhakti. So that is why people suffer and then they forget, then again they do sin, then again they will suffer. So this cycle is going on. So ultimately, when somebody will develop a desire for liberation from this world, and for that he starts performing bhakti, only then it is possible that he will come out of the cycle of sin. He will get mercy of Krishna. So that is explained by Jiva Goswami in Bhakti Sandarbha. So that is uh, why in Bhagavatam we are studying this section of hellish planets. Bhagavatam is about pure devotional service. This is to make us understand that only by pure devotional service one can be relieved from all these sufferings. One can be safe from all these sufferings. Otherwise, it is not possible. So we stop here. Any questions, comments?
Thank you, Prabhuji, for very nice overview of the intricacies of karma. Thank you, Prabhu. I request the devotees to unmute the mic and share their questions or comments.
Hare Krishna Prabhu Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
I have a question, but I don't know whether it is related to today's topic. It is somewhat related. Suppose among the couple, if one passes away early, the other person is there, but the other person is in devotional activities. Okay, yeah, then you think it is the suffering? Because two people, one has to go first and the other has to go later. Should we take it like that, or you call it as is karma that he is lastly one of the spouse?
No, I didn't understand the question. What is the question? One passes first.
Yes,
Yeah, so that is natural. One will pass first.
yeah.
So what is the
Should we
question?
take that as karma phala that he has passed earlier and that person is living?
Yeah, that is karma because everybody's lifespan is already fixed by the date of their previous karma. So whenever the time comes, then you have to go. Even pure devotee's life, it is going to end at some point of time. So in this world, nobody lives permanently. So at some point of time, they are going to pass away.
So the living person, should the person think that it is because of his past karma, the person is living and his partner has left? Should they think like that? Not necessary, no. Prabhu.
One dies only because of his own activities. I mean,
Yeah.
whatever the lifespan is decided by the dint of one's previous activities only. Yes. So the lifespan is a result of one's karma only.
It's not their past karma that the other person has passed away. It is your own, this thing that you come with your own lifespan when you are born, right?
Yeah. Yes, you have your own karma. The person who has passed away, he has his own karma.
Mhm.
Yes.
Thank you, Prabhu.
So your karma might be that uh, your the some your near and dear ones, they live with you for a long period of time. In other cases, we might see that even when the person is a small child, then
Mm.
his parents might pass away, or the near and dear ones might pass away. So that is our own karma. That when our near and dear ones will pass away, how long we are supposed to enjoy with them. That is our karma.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Wonderful.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranams. Thanks
Yes.
for the wonderful class, Prabhu. Prabhu, you said, and in NOD also it says that this Kleshagni, Bhakti destroys all kinds of this aprarabdha, prarabdha, kutam, bijam, like that. But we see devotees suffering, no, Prabhu. So how should we understand it, Prabhu?
Yeah, so devotees suffer because of two things. One is that Krishna keeps some amount of suffering for the devotee, although the prarabdha might go away. Why? Because this Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that if Krishna removes all the suffering from the life of the devotee, then there are two things which might happen. One thing is that the devotee might become lax in his devotional service. So if there is some suffering, then we always want to take shelter of Krishna. Another thing is that if devotee removes all the suffering from the life of a devotee, then the atheists in this world, they will become discouraged. So this world has been created mainly for the atheist people. So if the atheists see that a person is performing bhakti and immediately all the suffering is vanished, then they will become discouraged to remain as atheists. So that is another reason why Krishna gives some suffering. One remains sincere, otherwise it will become like heavenly planets. So people will not take devotional service sincerely if all the suffering is gone. So some Krishna will keep some little suffering, just like Prabhupada gives example that the fan is moving and it is switched off, but still it keeps moving for some time. So like that, Krishna keeps some little bit suffering, and he also keeps it because this world is meant for mainly those who don't want to worship Krishna. So these two reasons are given by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. He also gives a third reason. He says that devotees' sufferings are because of Vaishnava Aparadha, not because of sinful reactions. So one should be careful of Vaishnava Aparadha. Vaishnava Aparadha will bring suffering. So these three reasons are there.
Yes, Prabhu. But why Lord Krishna does not want atheists to become devotees, Prabhu?
No, he wants the atheists to become devotees. He doesn't want them to become discouraged in this world completely.
And I see the same reason, Prabhu, when I ask people to join Bhagavad Gita courses and all like that, they see that what is the use of doing devotional service? People are still suffering in spite of doing devotional service like that. The same thing they are telling.
Yeah, so the difference is that everybody is suffering in this world, but the suffering does not cause you disturbance. Suffering will always be there. We see that even in the life of pure devotee, there is suffering, or there is more suffering actually, but they are not affected by it. So, as long as the material body is there, the suffering will always be there because this world is a place of suffering only. Krishna tells Dukkhalayam. So, Dukkha will always be there. But when someone becomes pure devotee, then he's not affected by that. So,
Yes. Prabhu. So that's the reason, that reason we have to give them, Prabhu.
yes, because you
Strength.
can tell them that everybody has material body and material body will naturally get suffering because it's a temporary thing. So anything which is temporary, it will be destructed at some point of time. Destruction means suffering. So you can give them example of from we have to make them understand Bhagavad Gita here very well. In Bhagavad Gita, there is this chapter, I think, uh, which chapter is that? 13th chapter. Uh, Kshetra Kshetragya Vibhagya. So Krishna is explained about Kshetra and Kshetragya. The Kshetra means field of activities, that is the material energy. And Kshetragya means the performer, that is the Jivatma, and also Paramatma is also one of the Kshetragyas. So the example is given. Let's say that we are sitting in a movie theater. That movie theater can be compared to a kshetra, field of activity. You are watching something on the screen, sound is coming, entering your ears, and so some experience you are getting. Kshetra, in that kshetra, field of activity. That is material nature, basically. And the person who is watching that movie, that is we, the soul, jiva. So in the kshetra, there is kshetra vikar. In that chapter, there is a verse where Krishna says that Ichha, Dvesha, Sukha, Dukkha. So all these things are coming because of Kshetra Vikar. Kshetra Vikar means changes in the field of activity. So when a person is watching the movie, so sometimes the movie has some very funny scene, so he is laughing. Then there is the love story between the hero and heroine, so he's very happy. He's identifying with the hero or heroine. And sometimes then there is tragedy. Somebody is dying in the movie, then he's crying. So there are changes in the kshetra. That is, the kshetra is the movie theater. The movie is in the movie there are changes, and the soul is identifying with those changes. And so because of identifying with these changes in the movie, sometimes happiness, sometimes tragedy, sometimes love, deception, everything is there. So different emotions are arising. That is what Krishna is telling. Sukha, dukkha, ichha, dvesha. So all the sukha and dukkha are ultimately because of ichha and dvesha, they're dualities. So when the person who is looking at the movie theater, he understands that actually I am sitting in a movie theater, which is a kshetra, field of activities, and the kshetra vikar in the movie theater changes are causing me disturbance, suffering, so-called suffering. Actually, it is not suffering. Why there is suffering? Because we are identifying with the kshetra, the field of activities. So when the person understands that actually I have nothing to do with what is being shown on the movie screen. You know, I have nothing to do with that experience, or I have nothing to do with the kshetra vikar, the changes in the kshetra. I am separate. Then what he will do, he will get out of the movie theater, or he will look away from the screen. So when he looks away from the screen, he sees that everybody in the movie theater is crying because of a tragic scene, the suffering. And he understands I don't have to cry. I have nothing to do with this movie. My life is something else. This is not real. So when one comes to that understanding, then he can be away from the effect of that suffering. So one should have a very good philosophical understanding to understand that what actually is suffering, or what is perceived as suffering, but it is not actually suffering. So what we perceive in this world as suffering is actually kshetra vikar, changes in the kshetra. But when we move our attention away from this kshetra and another kshetra, the spiritual kshetra, then gradually we can come out of suffering or this perceived suffering actually. Bhagavad Gita, second chapter itself, Krishna says the soul is not affected by matter at all. So there is the question of suffering. So this suffering is perceived suffering. For someone who does not have any spiritual understanding, philosophical foundation, it is for him, that person. So we also suffer because our spiritual life is not very mature and our philosophical understanding is on the platform of knowledge. It is not on the platform of realization. So that is why we also suffer, but definitely our suffering is less than other people. So that is why it is said kleshagni. So kleshagni means almost everything is removed. Not that everything is. Everything will be removed on the platform of bhava bhakti. Then you will be completely aloof from the kshetra and kshetra vikar. Like we see Haridas Thakur, he has been flogged, but he doesn't feel anything, or he is not disturbed, or doesn't matter to him. So like that.
Hare Krishna. Thanks so much, Prabhu. Wonderful answer. But we don't know when we will realize it. That's the problem.
No, it will happen. So as we are practicing devotional service, gradually it will happen. Yes.
Thank you, Prabhu. Dandavat pranams.
Thank you, Prabhuji. I think you made a point with respect to the aspect of suffering. Suffering will be there for everybody. In case of pure devotees, they see as an observer, right, Prabhu? They are not disturbed by the suffering.
Yes.
We see so many contemporary examples even now within ISKCON. Senior gurus and acharyas, they display that exemplary um, uh, nature of not being disturbed by the suffering. Prabhuji, like sadhaka devotees like us, it's up and down, Prabhuji. That's what I see. Sometimes we feel that, okay, suffering, and also we get disturbed. Sometimes we see the suffering, but also we get not disturbed. So, how we can gradually develop the mode of not getting disturbed, Prabhuji?
Yes. So this is natural for a sadhaka who still has anarthas. So one of the stages on the platform of anartha nivrutti is Ghanataral. Ghanataral means sometimes you are very enthusiastic or very convinced about the devotional conclusions, sometimes not so firm and convinced. Sometimes you feel enthusiastic, sometimes not very enthusiastic. So that is very natural for somebody who is still fighting with the anarthas, because our inherent nature is to enjoy with this material senses because of conditioning of so many millions of lifetimes. And then we are asked to do something completely opposite, that is to engage the senses in spiritual activities. So that is why sometimes we are able to do it and sometimes we are not able to do it because of our previous conditionings. And when we are absorbed in spiritual activities, then this fear or understanding of suffering or victim mentality also. In this world, we always have victim mentality that this wrong was done to me and this wrong happened because of this person, that wrong happened because of that person, and I am the victim. But actually, everything is happening because of your own karma only. You are just simply the instrument of your own karma. So that victim mentality or this is all relative to what is our spiritual condition during that time or spiritual status during that time. Sometimes we feel strong, sometimes we don't feel very strong. That is why one should try to come on the platform of Nishtha, which is beyond Anartha Nivritti. So it is easy to say, but uh, it will require a lot of determination to reach to that level. How to do that? So it is said that Sharanagati, the process of Sharanagati has 6 steps. The first 2 steps are for neophytes. Anukulyasya sankalpah, pratikulyasya vivarjanam. These 2 are for neophytes. Then the next 2, Rakshishyati iti Vishwasa, Goptritva Varanam Tata. Those 2 are for the Madhyamadika. So Rakshishyati iti Vishwasa means that Krishna will protect me, I don't worry. And Goptritva Varanam means Krishna will maintain me. So these 2 are for Madhyamadikaris. So when we will reach this platform, only when we will do the first 2. Anukulyasya sankalpah, pratikulyasya vivarjanam. So when we engage in these first 2 limbs of Sharanagati, then we will overcome our anarthas. Not all of them, some subtle anarthas still remain. Some anarthas, it is explained in Madhurya Kadambini, some anarthas go at the stage of ruchi, some anarthas go at the stage of asakti, some anarthas go at the stage of bhava and prem, like that. But most of the anarthas will go after gross anarthas and most of the subtle anarthas which disturb us, they will go after anartha nivritti. If we engage in these 2 things, anukulyasya sankalpa, pratikulyasya vivarjana, that is doing things which are favorable for devotional service and not doing things which are not favorable. And where are these things which are written? Where is it written? So it is written in verses 2 and 3 of Upadeshamrit. Verse 2 speaks about what is not to be done, and verse 3 it speaks about what is to be done. So when we try to follow verses 2 and 3 of Upadeshamrit very nicely, then we will progress on the Madhyam Adhikari platform. Then we will not face so much difficulty in even if there is a setback in our life or some tragic incidents happens, we will not be affected so much on that platform. Okay. Any other question?
Thank you, Prabhuji. So we have to very sincerely practice the first 2 limbs of Sharanagati. Yes. Yes. Okay. Any other questions or comments from the devotees? Okay. Prabhuji, I think there are no questions, Prabhu. Thank you very much, Prabhu, once again for giving your association and sharing the nectar. So we'll end today's session with the Vaishnava Pranam. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhobhya evacha पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे, हरि हरि बोल। Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhu. We wish you wonderful Deepavali celebration
yes,
to you.
Thank you. And I also wish all of you a very wonderful, happy Diwali for you and your whole family. And hope this Diwali brings you a lot of happiness, spiritual happiness, as well as material well-being, both. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
And happy
Prabhu,
Gauranga.
thank you, devotees. I will end the Zoom session now.